It will be characterized tonight by a series of scripture readings and reflections that make up the 12 stations of the cross. Our Good Friday service this evening will begin with a silent processional led by Pastor Bob to the cross in front of the church. Let's go in single file and in silence as we meditate on the price that He paid to redeem us. We'll reenact the journey that Jesus made to Calvary. We will follow the path He took along the way of sorrow as He journeys from the garden where He prayed alone, where He faced the Sanhedrin, onto being condemned by Pilate, and then to His death on the cross. You're invited to take up a cross of your own that you'll find in the narthex, to bring it before Him at the lighted cross out front, laying it at His feet. After prayer with Pastor Bob, we'll re-enter through the social hall, returning to our seats through that door, where we'll be in meditation and reflect on the journey. We will do this in presentations of stations, 12 to be exact. Each candle will be extinguished. It symbolizes the growing darkness. Darkness, not only of Jesus' death, but of the hopelessness in the world without God. The service will conclude with a final song symbolizing the closing of the tomb. The service will end in darkness and in silence as the final candle, the Christ candle, is extinguished, symbolizing the death of Jesus. We will then leave in silence to wait upon the Lord. Let's sing as we sing the Old Rugged Cross.
We stand and sing.
On a hill far away stood an old rugged cross, the emblem of suffering. For 'twas on that old cross Jesus suffered and died to pardon and sanctify me. So I'll cherish the old rugged cross till my trophies at last I lay down. Cling to the old rugged cross and exchange it someday for a crown.
In penitent prayer from Psalm 139. Search me, O God, and know my heart. Test me and know my thoughts. See if there's any wicked way in me, and lead me in the way everlasting. We depart now through the double doors in single, silent file, following Pastor Bob. sorry. You good to go? Your mic is on? All right, so that you're not messing with it. This goes up, and the light may go off, but the mic will be live as long as that goes all the way up. Okay. And you're just 5 minutes away from starting. But he was pierced for our transgressions. He was crushed for our iniquities. The punishment that brought us peace was on him, and by his wounds we are healed. For God so loved the world that he gave his one and only Son, that whoever believes in him shall not perish, but have everlasting life. The presentation of the 12 stations.
Then Jesus came with them to a place called Gethsemane, and he said to his disciples, "Sit here while I go over there and pray." He took along Peter and the 2 sons of Zebedee and began to feel sorrow and distress. Then he said to them, "My soul is sorrowful even to death. Remain here and keep watch with me." He advanced a little and fell prostrate in prayer, saying, "My Father, if it is possible, let this cup pass from me, yet not as I will, but as you will." When he returned to his disciples, he found them asleep. He said to Peter, "So you could not keep watch with me for 1 hour? Watch and pray that you may not undergo the test. The spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak." The agony of Jesus as he struggles with his Father's will is so shockingly human. A struggling Jesus, a Jesus who at first wants something other than his Father's will, a Jesus who wishes to pass on the cup of suffering. I am astounded by your utter humanness. You are truly God in human flesh. You are Emmanuel, God with us. You are God with me. You understand me. You stand with me in hard times. You encourage me when I wrestle with the Father's will, and you intercede for me.
Then, while Jesus was still speaking, Judas, one of the 12, arrived, accompanied by a crowd with swords and clubs, who had come from the chief priests, the scribes, and the elders. His betrayer had arranged a signal with them, saying, "The man I shall kiss is the one. Arrest him and lead him away securely." He came and immediately went over to him and said, "Rabbi," and he kissed him. At this they laid hands on him and arrested him. Mark 14:43-46. Betrayed by a kiss, a sign of love and loyalty is nothing more than treachery. How that must have hurt. It is easy for me to feel disdain for Judas, but how many times have I betrayed you in my heart and in my actions? How many times have I confessed Jesus is Lord, only to enthrone him myself as the true Lord of my life? How many times have I worshiped you with my lips and words, songs and prayers, only to reject you in my heart, thoughts, and actions? When I stand back from myself and reflect, I want to be completely devoted to you. But in the day-to-day challenges of life and faith, the Judas lurking within me reveals himself. I too can betray my Lord.
Jesus is condemned by the Sanhedrin. When day came, the council of elders of the people met, both chief priests and scribes, and they brought him before the Sanhedrin. They said, "If you are the Messiah, tell us." But he replied to them, "If I tell you, you will not believe me. And if I question, you will not respond. But from this time on, the Son of Man will be seated at the right hand of the power of God." They all asked, "And are you then the Son of God?" He replied to them, "You say that I am." Then they said, "What further need do we have for a testimony? We have heard it from his own mouth." Luke 22:66-71. The Jewish officials didn't understand what it meant for you to be Messiah, and they condemned you as a criminal worthy of death. Your own followers didn't understand what it meant for you to be in this crisis. Help me not to be like one of these. Help me to understand what it means when I confess you to be the God and the Christ and the Messiah of my life. And may this confession lead me to a life of true discipleship. Let your kingdom come, O Lord, and your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. And let this happen in my lifetime, even today.
The chief priests with the elders and the scribes, that is, the whole Sanhedrin, held a council. They bound Jesus, led him away, and handed him over to Pilate. Pilate questioned him, "Are you the king of the Jews?" He said to him in reply, "You say so." The chief priest accused him of many things. Again, Pilate questioned him. "Have you no answer? See how many things they accuse you of?" Jesus gave him no further answer, so that Pilate was amazed. Pilate, wishing to satisfy the crowd, released Barabbas and handed Jesus over to be crucified. Mark 15:1-5, 15. Pilate could not find any just cause for execution. The riotous crowds urged him to have you killed. Pilate bends to their will, ultimately releasing the prisoner Barabbas in exchange. Pilate hands you over to be crucified. I wish you would confront the disbelief of the crowds and the arrogant cowardice of the powers that be. Surely someone will speak up for you. Where are the lepers who were healed? Where are the blind who can now see? Where are all the people who ate the bread and fish on the hillside? Where are those who followed you so easily when they thought you would become king of the Jews? Yet no one speaks. No voice in the crowd comes to your defense. You stand alone. I see in your silence the quiet strength that reveals a peace and a resolve. Help me deal with the unfairness of life without becoming critical to others. Help me to be sensitive to the pain and feelings of others. Give me the courage to do what is right without being swayed by the demands of others.
Then Pilate took Jesus and had him scourged. And the soldiers wove a crown out of thorns and placed it on his head and clothed him in a purple cloak. And they came to him and said, "Hail, King of the Jews!" And they struck him repeatedly. John 19, 1-3. Sentenced like a common criminal, accused of crimes you did not commit, you humbly accepted the criminality of all of it, of all humanity placed on your shoulders as our Passover lamb. Suddenly, yesterday, you removed your cloak and laid it aside to wash your disciples' feet. You called them to follow your example as a symbol of humility and service to others. Now you allow them to publicly disgrace and ridicule you? You are left with nothing, not even human decency. Yet, you still try. You're still trying to teach us something about what it means to serve others. Is your surrender to such degradation a model for how we are to live in the world as your followers? I don't like such an idea. I would rather walk with you into Jerusalem with the praise of people ringing in my ears than to risk such humiliation. I want to follow you, but is this really what it means to be a follower? That I must lay aside everything and risk this kind of degradation? And yet, that is exactly what you are doing.
When the chief priests and the guards saw Jesus, they cried out, "Crucify him! Crucify him!" Pilate said to them, "Take him yourselves and crucify him. I find no guilt in him." They cried out, "Take him away! Take him away! Crucify him!" Pilate said to them, "Shall I crucify your king?" The chief priests answered, "We have no king but Caesar." Then he handed them over to them to be crucified. So they took Jesus, carrying the cross himself. He went out to what is called the place of the skull, in Hebrew, Golgotha. St. John 19, 6, 15 through 17. I see you accept the cross in the midst of such mockery. You could have refused. What more could they have done to you? Yet you began this journey knowing full well where it will lead. I hear no words of complaint, no protest of innocence, no cursing the injustice. Yet I am so prone to complain and whine about the most trivial things. Sometimes the things I face in my life are more than trivial. Sometimes the troubles of life bear down on me. But I so easily fall into self-pity. I too often assume that I am the only one who bears a cross, or that my cross is larger and heavier than any others. But I am not alone in that. People all around me bear far more than I must bear. You accepted your cross without self-pity. Can I follow your example?
Jesus falls and is helped by Simon the Cyrenian. They pressed into service a passerby, Simon, a Cyrenian, who was coming in from the country, the father of Alexander and Rufus, to carry his cross. I see you weakened by the beatings and betrayal, falling under the weight of crushing pain and grief from my sin and shame. Once I was like Simon, living an ordinary life, when suddenly you, a stranger, drew me to your side. You asked us to carry the cross a little way. So now I share in your passion, and I hope for the other Simons to come forth to help me on the way. My ideal is self-sufficiency. I need to stand on my own 2 feet. It is humiliating to need others, especially strangers. But this dependency is part of being human, and it is embraced by you. A drink from the Samaritan woman at the well to needing help with carrying this cross. It humbles me. Am I too ashamed to accept help when I need it? And am I eager to offer it when others have needs? Have I become so preoccupied with myself that I am deaf and blind to the grief and suffering of those around me? Am I indifferent? Do I share in the burdens of others? It is in our mutual dependence we find a source of joy and occasion of grace, knitting us together in the community of your love.
When they came to the place called the Skull, they crucified him, and the criminals were there, one on his right, the other on his left. Then Jesus said, "Father, forgive them. They know not what they do." Luke 23:33-34. How they mock you. You said that you could rebuild the temple in 3 days, and I thought that anyone who could raise the dead surely could deal with broken stones. But it is not the stones in the temple that matter to you, is it? Your greater concern is how we relate to you and to one another. You so want us to know the power of living love. Is love stronger than this evil that now surrounds you? I want to rage at the injustice of this, the cruelty of the Romans, the hypocrisy of the high priest and religious leaders, the cowardice of the disciples, the treachery of Judas, the fickleness of the crowds. Do they not remember that you spoke of loving one another, of bearing the burdens of others, even of loving our enemies? They should know better. They should have listened and learned. And yet, would I have done differently? Is the guilt just of those who drove the nails? And are the rest of us innocent? Or is it human sin that drives the nails? My sin. The old American spiritual asked the question, were you there when they crucified my Lord? I want to deny it. I want to pretend that it is someone else's guilt, someone else's sin. But I was there. Jesus, you are here dying because of my sin. I was there. It was I who drove the nails.
This is Station 9. It's titled, Jesus Promises His Kingdom to the Good Thief. Now one of the criminals hanging there reviled Jesus, saying, "Are you not the Messiah? Save yourself and us." And the other, however, rebuking him, said in reply, "Have you no fear of God? For you are subject to the same condemnation. And indeed, we have been condemned justly, for the sentence we receive corresponds to our crimes. But this man has done nothing criminal." Then he said, "Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom." Jesus replied to him, "Amen, I say to you, today you will be with me in paradise." Here it is, a cry of minimal faith and maximal desperation, and your response is a response of monumental mercy. You save, not because I earn it, not because I deserve it, not because I say the right words and pray the right prayers, and not even because I have my theology right, but because you are full of mercy, mercy revealed and poured out through the cross. If this crucified criminal could have hope, then perhaps the criminal I am can as well. I hope not in my goodness, not in my good intentions, but in your matchless mercy.
Station 10, Jesus speaks to his mother and the disciple. Standing by the cross of Jesus were his mother and his mother's sister, Mary, the wife of Clopas, and Mary Magdalene. When Jesus saw his mother and the disciple that he loved, he said to his mother, "Woman, behold your son." And then he said to the disciple, "Behold your mother." And from that hour the disciple took her into his home. John 19, 25-27. I wonder what Mary must be thinking and feeling as she stands and watches your life fade away hanging on that cross. Is she thinking back to the visit of the angel who announced your coming? Is she remembering the words of Simeon, who took you as an 8-day-old baby into your arms and declared you were the Son of God, salvation to all people, a light to the Gentiles and the glory of Israel? Or is she reminded of that day in Jerusalem when you were 12 and she searched for you and couldn't find you, finally finding you in the temple talking with the leaders who were listening intently? You asked her, "Did you not know I would be in my Father's house?" Is that when your mission became clear to Mary? Is she now wondering, seeing you on that cross, can this be what the Father intended for him? And what brings this one disciple standing before your cross? The others have all run away in fear and disappointment. This disciple could be in real danger. Besides, he's standing with women. Men just didn't associate women who were not from their own family. What is he doing here? Why is he here? Yet you trust him so much that you tell him to take care of your mother, for the rest of her life. I might visit her and bring her a meal once in a while, but to treat her like I would my own mother is a big commitment. You ask a great deal of this disciple. Are you asking me of the same commitment? Are you asking me Are you asking me the same about other people's mothers, fathers, sisters, brothers? Am I willing to accept those that you entrust me to love?
It was now about noon, and darkness came over the whole land until 3 p.m. because of an eclipse of the sun. Then the veil of the temple was torn down the middle. Jesus cried out in a loud voice, "Father, into your hands I commend my spirit." And when he had said this, he breathed his last. Luke 23:44-46. It is dark in the middle of the day. It seems that the heavens and the earth are grieving, telling us that something is horribly wrong. And yet some still seem to mock. Or do they really expect some final miracle to save you? Jesus, I hear you cry out in lament from the Psalms, and know that it is the cry of human pain and desolation. Here, where too often we see you only as God, you again reveal your true humanity. Most everyone has forsaken you, and in your pain, the emotion escapes in a cry of abandonment. Yet it is a prayer, a cry from human lips to a God who hears such cries. Finally, it is over. You are dead. What have we done? The earth shakes. The curtain in the temple is torn right down the middle. The Holy of Holies is exposed for all to see. What does it mean? Who are you? Even the Romans now think that you are the Son of God. But you are dead. It's too late. What have we done? What have I done?
Jesus is placed in the tomb. When it was evening, there came a rich man from Arimathea named Joseph, who was himself a disciple of Jesus. He went to Pilate and asked for the body of Jesus, and then Pilate ordered it to be handed over. Taking the body, Joseph wrapped it in a clean linen and laid it in his tomb, which he had hewn in the rock. Then he rolled a huge stone across the entrance and departed. Matthew 27. You never stopped loving me. You died because of human sin, because of me. Yet you know that sin is never the final word. God can redeem the worst that human beings can do. But this? What can come of this? What can God do with such a final ending? We hope and wait. May we stand?